Hello, welcome back. So with the previous part discussion, we can say that structural system is the skeleton of the building and it supports the rest of the structure. So structural systems characteristic of the reinforced concrete building that we will be discussing now. So there are different structural systems in the reinforced concrete, but we will be containing our discussion to the main three types of structural system. One is the moment resisting frame. Second one is the bearing wall system. And the third one is the frame or shear wall hybrid system. Now, moment resisting frame, bearing wall system, and hybrid system, you can see their diagram here. So this one is sorry. So this one is the first case, moment resisting system. In this, it is actually the combination of frame of now in the frame it is consisting the beam and column along with the slab. Similarly, in the bearing wall system, there may be only the bearing wall, there is no column. So if the building is containing only the bearing wall, now this bearing wall may be of brick masonry or maybe of concrete. So if the wall is responsible for carrying the load, it may be a vertical load or it may be a horizontal load. So in that case, the system will be known as bearing wall system. Now, in case of hybrid system is actually the combination of a frame and bear wall. So we will discuss them in detail in the next slide. So first we will talk about the moment resisting frame. So as I said, moment resisting frame, it consists of the combination of the column and beam. So as it is written here, it consists of columns and beams that act as a three-dimensional space frame. And the gravity and lateral load. Now, gravity load is the vertical load and lateral load is the horizontal load. So both the horizontal and vertical load, it is resisted by the beam and column. So bending of beam is basically because of the effect of vertical and horizontal load. And column also support the load simultaneously. Now, this in this diagram, you can see this is a common feature that we see in the normal building. So, which is actually the frame of vertical column and the beam along with the slab. So, beam and column, they are mainly responsible for carrying the vertical and horizontal load in this type of frame system. And generally the space between the column and beam, it is being filled by the masonry. So they may be known as infilled masonry partitions. And generally this moment resisting frame, it is useful for 5 to 10 story range. So it is generally used in the office building. So that is the first type of structural system that is very commonly used in the normal construction. Then the second system is the bearing wall system. Now, these bearing walls are also, it mainly consists of reinforced concrete bearing wall, or it may be consisting of masonry wall, depending on the type of material that we use. But as we are talking about the reinforced concrete, so we will be talking about the reinforced concrete bearing wall. So the building which is carrying the reinforced concrete bearing wall, that comes under the case of bearing wall system. So we have already seen the elevation and plan of the wall system. Now in this type of building where only the wall is there, the walls will be responsible for carrying the vertical load, and also it will be responsible for carrying the horizontal load. So when it resists the horizontal load, in that case the wall is known as shear wall. So as I have written here, when it is used to resist the lateral load, then we call the bearing wall as the shear wall. And the shear wall, they are actually designed to resist the lateral forces. Here it is written that the shear force are designed to resist the lateral forces from the floor structures and they transmit them to the ground. So then we have yes, so there are some cases where we use shear wall in the reinforced concrete building. Now, those kind of building we can show here. So here in this building you can see there are some vertical column, horizontal beam, and along with there are walls, vertical walls. So those vertical walls are mainly provided to resist the horizontal load or lateral load. Now lateral load can be because of the wind load or because of the earthquake load. So to resist earthquake load or the wind load, we generally provide the shear wall. So ideally, these shear wall, you can see they are continuous from the ground floor to the third floor. So generally they are continuous. Generally they don't have any opening. So they are extending from the foundation to the roof of the building. And many residential and office building, they utilize the bearing wall system as shear wall. So then we have another system, which is the hybrid system. So as I explained earlier, hybrid system is actually the combination of the frame system and the bear wall system. So basically, frame and shear wall or hybrid system, it actually utilizes the complete 3D space frame to support the gravity load, and there are shear walls which will be resisting the lateral load, as you can see in the diagram. So in this system, the main lateral load resisting system, it is consisting the shear wall as the elevator. So in the diagram also you can see in the plan, this system is actually the elevator system where you can plan the lifts. So this elevator core system, it is actually acting as a lateral load resisting system, which will be resisting the horizontal load. And there may be some additional walls also, which may be located elsewhere in the building to as per the requirement. Now this interaction of the the shear wall and the column and beam frame, this interaction is very much important. So we will see that in the next slide. As I said, the interaction of the frame and shear wall is essential for limiting the lateral deformation due to the wind and earthquake. So the role of concrete frame is to transfer gravity load only, and therefore it is called the gravity frame. And the columns, which are typically supporting the concrete flat slab structures or a two-way slab with beam, they actually act as a gravity system, and the wall is acting as a uh, lateral load resisting system. So the interaction of frame and shear wall, it is very much essential for limiting the lateral deformation due to the wind and earthquake load. So this system is commonly found in modern office and residential buildings. So this is, there you can see this is the example of modern construction building, which is comprising the frame system and the shear wall bearing wall system. So now talking about the structural analysis and design, well, it is convenient to separate the work of a structural designer into the analysis and design, but a rigid separation is not possible, and it is also not desirable. So when a student, say for example, if when a student undergoes a separate course on structural analysis and design, it is very essential that he or she realize the nature of their mutual relationship. So, so in order to perform analysis the proportion of the various structural elements should be known in advance, and for this a preliminary design is generally required, and therefore in practice analysis and design, they are actually the interactive process. So in this course we will be confined to the reinforced concrete design. So as I have explained earlier, in the analysis, generally we determine the member forces, and in the design, once we determine the member forces, then we provide adequate member size, reinforcement, connection detail as per the member force which it is subjected to. Then now coming to the design standards that are being used in the design of structures. Well, national building codes, they have, national building codes have been formulated in different countries to lay down guidelines for the design and construction of the structures. And the codes have evolved from the collective wisdom of expert structural engineers, which is being gained from the over the years. And these codes that are being used, they are actually periodically revised to bring them in line with the current research. So the code that we generally use to design the building, it actually serve at least 4 distinct functions. Now, firstly, they ensure adequate structural safety by specifying certain essential minimum requirement for design. Then secondly, they render the task of the designers relatively simple, and often the result of analysis are made available in the form of simple formula or chart, as we see in the design codes. Thirdly, the code ensure a minimum, it ensure a measure of consistency among different designers. And finally, these codes, they have some legal validity also, in that they protect the structural engineer from any liability due to the structural failure that may be caused because of the inadequate supervision and or any faulty material and construction. So that is the importance of design code. Now, in our course, the code that we are going to design, that we are going to use in our course, that will be the basic code of design, and that is being published by the Bureau of Indian Standard. And the code that we are going to use will be IS 456-2000, which is the code for the design of reinforced concrete structures. And so therefore in the upcoming lecture, I will be referring the IS 456 as the code only. So that is the discussion for this lecture. So we will continue our discussion in the next lecture. Thank you.